Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, where we uncover the hidden truths in financial filings. And let me tell you, Limitless Projects Inc.'s latest report has us asking if they are building castles in the sky. Today we're diving into Limitless Projects Inc.'s quarterly report, a look at their financial health for the 3 months ending October 31, 2024. Think of this as a quick checkup for the company, and like any checkup, we're looking for signs of strength and, well, things that might need a bit more attention. We'll break down what these numbers really mean for the company and its future. And hey, if you like getting these straightforward breakdowns of corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed and ring that notification bell. We also have a growing community on Discord discussing these very things, so check out the link in the description below. Let's kick things off with a look at their balance sheet, which is basically a snapshot of what the company owns and what it owes on two different dates, October 31, 2024 and July 31, 2024. What stands out immediately is how little cash they have. On October 31st, they had just $19 in cash. Yes, you heard that right, $19. Compare that to $39 a few months earlier. This is incredibly low, especially for a company that's supposed to be developing software. On the asset side, their total assets are around $409,000. Most of this is tied up in software and office equipment, with very little in the way of current assets like cash. Now look at the liabilities. They owe about $97,000, mainly in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. This means they owe more than they have in total assets. And then we get to stockholders' equity, which is essentially what's left for the owners after all debts are paid. For Limitless Projects Inc., this number is negative. They have an accumulated deficit of over $909,000, meaning they've lost more money than they've earned since they started. This leaves them with a negative total stockholders' equity of over $87,000. Put simply, on paper, they owe more than they own and have lost a lot of money. Now let's look at the statement of comprehensive loss, which shows how much money they made or lost during a specific period. This is where we see their actual performance. For the 3 months ending October 31, 2024, they reported a net loss of $6,108. This loss came entirely from general and administrative expenses. They had no revenue from goods sold or any income to speak of. This paints a picture of a company that is spending money but not bringing any in. The loss per share is reported as 0, which is technically true given the small amount, but it's important to remember they have over 100 million shares outstanding. This means a tiny change in their net loss could significantly impact the per share value, and not in a good way. The statement of stockholders' equity shows how the equity part of the balance sheet changes over time. As we saw, their equity is negative. Looking at the changes from July 2023 to October 2024, the accumulated deficit has grown substantially. This confirms that the company has been consistently losing money each quarter. The additional paid-in capital also increased, which usually means they've raised money by selling stock. However, this hasn't been enough to offset their losses. The statement of cash flows is crucial because it tells us where the cash is actually coming from and going to. This is the lifeblood of any business. Here we see that for the period ending October 31, 2024, they had a net loss of $6,108. However, the net cash provided by operating activities is reported as 12 from operations. Seems counterintuitive given the net loss. The note explains this is because of changes in operating assets and liabilities, specifically an increase in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Essentially, they've used up some of their existing liabilities or haven't paid everything yet, which temporarily boosts cash from operations without actually generating it from core business activities. It's like saying you have more money because you haven't paid your bills yet. In investing activities, they spent $12,750 on software development. This makes sense given their business model, but it's a significant chunk of their very limited resources. And financing activities, 0. This means they didn't raise any new money from selling stock or debt during this quarter. This all leads to the dramatic decrease in their cash balance. They started the period with $39 and ended with just $19. Again, this is an incredibly small amount of cash for any operating business. Digging into the notes, we learn more about what Limitless Projects Inc. actually does, or at least intends to do. They are in the business of developing computer software systems and mobile device applications. And they were working on a ride-hailing and food delivery app called Warp Speed Taxi, and an employee monitoring software called Privacy and Value. Interestingly, they mention a deal with a third party for the privacy and value software that fell through because the third party didn't make a payment. This sounds like a missed opportunity that could have brought in much needed funds. This section is usually a big red flag for investors. The company itself admits that their financial statements are prepared on a going concern basis, which assumes they can keep operating normally, but they also state that their accumulated deficit and anticipated future losses raise substantial doubt about their ability to continue as a going concern. They believe they need to raise capital or generate revenue soon to survive. Management plans to use existing cash, proceeds from a public offering, and revenue from software sales. However, they also note they have no commitments from anyone to provide them with further financial support. This means they are entirely reliant on external funding or a sudden surge in profitable operations, neither of which seems guaranteed. This section can be a bit dry, but it gives us insight into how they account for their finances. It highlights that they've adopted standard accounting practices. They seem proactive in adopting new accounting rules. They also discuss various accounting standards like those for leases and revenue recognition, indicating they are aware of and implementing complex financial reporting requirements. Here we find out about their shares. They've authorized a massive 500 million shares of common stock with a very low par value. As of October 31, 2024, they had over 100 million shares issued and outstanding. This large number of authorized shares could mean they plan to issue a lot more stock in the future, which could dilute the value for existing shareholders if not managed carefully. This section typically covers any significant events that happened after the reporting period but before the report was filed. It states none, meaning no major new developments have occurred since October 31st. This section is management's own commentary on the company's performance and outlook. They start by warning about forward-looking statements, essentially saying their future plans might not turn out as expected. They describe their business of developing software, specifically the warp speed taxi and privacy and value applications. Management's intention is to sell these products to third parties rather than market them themselves. This is a critical piece of information regarding warp speed taxi. It appears they have already transferred their interest in this application to another company, GCSS, to settle a debt. While they mention retaining a license for the US, the core asset seems to have been sold off. They clarify that their earnings from the warp speed taxi application will be limited to a maximum of $300,000 from the sale. This is a very modest amount for a software application. Regarding the privacy and value software, they reiterate its purpose of balancing employer and employee interests. They also mention another agreement for this software with Cyber Apps World Inc. that also seems to have terminated because Cyber Apps failed to make a payment of $250,000 by June 15, 2021. Management reiterates their net loss for the quarter, highlighting that it's purely from administrative costs and not from any revenue generating activities. Under liquidity, they confirm the low cash balance and the increase in liabilities. They state they will require additional capital, planning to raise it through selling equity or debt securities. They explain the positive cash flow from operations by again pointing to the increase in accounts payable. This isn't a sustainable way to generate cash. This section deals with the company's internal controls, basically the systems in place to ensure their financial reporting is accurate. This is a significant point. Management states that their internal control over financial reporting is not effective. This is a serious disclosure suggesting potential weaknesses in how they record and report financial information, which can lead to errors or even fraud. The exhibits list the supporting documents attached to the report. The certifications from the CEO and CFO are included here. These are standard requirements confirming they've reviewed the report and believe it to be accurate despite the earlier statement about ineffective internal controls. It's a bit of a contradiction, or at least a nuanced situation where they certify the report's accuracy while admitting controls are weak. Daniel Okello, who holds multiple key positions including CEO and CFO, signed off on the report. This concentration of roles in one person at a company with such low cash and ineffective controls is definitely something to keep an eye on. So what's my take on Limitless Projects Inc. based on this report? Well, it's a company that is struggling mightily. They have very little cash, significant accumulated losses, and their core business activities, as described, have either been sold off or failed to gain traction. The failure to secure promised payments from partnerships and the admission of ineffective internal controls are major red flags. While they plan to raise capital, there's no guarantee that will happen or that it will be enough to turn things around. The company direction seems to be focused on software development, but the execution in terms of securing funding and partnerships appears to be weak. The most notable risk is their near zero cash balance and the ongoing operational losses. At this stage, Limitless Projects Inc. appears to be in a very precarious financial position. What do you think of Limitless Projects Inc.'s situation? Are they building for the future or just running on fumes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and remember to subscribe for more dives into corporate filings. Don't forget to join our Discord community for more discussions. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.